Hi everyone, well here I am again, back in one of my favourite places, Teignmouth Seafront. It's a bit windy here today, but it's so beautiful, it's lovely and hot today. I just wanted to hop on and talk a little bit about where I'm at with my health at the moment, because I do my videos to show you progress, but I'm also very mindful of sharing with you the more challenging times as well, because a lot of people don't do that, and I think it's really important, because it's very difficult when you have a health challenge, whether it's physical or a mental health challenge, to keep up being optimistic and hopeful, and to stop yourself falling into this pit of despair and darkness, I suppose. And I was given my fibromyalgia diagnosis 11 years ago, and I've never accepted it. I've not taken the medication route, and I'm on a mission to get well, and I know that I will. But the last week has been particularly challenging, with lots of past trauma memories coming up for me to, well, really like slapping me in the face. And then also since yesterday morning, I haven't been well at all. So I'd come today for my session, and I'd fully intended to go into the sea as part of my new, shall I call it a hobby? So I had intended to go in, and I'm sat here really disappointed with myself because I can't go in. Because I'll just swing it round. So the waves don't, actually I'll just put it up like that and you can see. There's some waves coming in there. So they're not massive, they're not like big surfy waves or anything, but they would be enough to knock me off my feet. And my legs are particularly vulnerable at the moment, with a lot of weakness and my balance issues, tingling, and now and again some numbness happening. So although it's a bit of a downer not being able to go in, it's a really positive thing that I've been able to identify my capacity today, and I know I wouldn't feel safe if I went in. So I think that's a really good thing, actually, that I've managed to do that, because normally I would just freeze and run, not physically run, but you know what I mean, mentally run away from it, or I would push myself and do something that I'm not comfortable with and then live to regret it probably, or I may not. But I'm noticing this is happening more and more with me now over the last probably 2 weeks. I'm becoming a lot more mindful over what I feel comfortable with, what I don't, what I want to do and what I don't want to do, and being able to be assertive and not worry about what other people think so much about any decisions that I make. As long as, obviously, I'm not going out hurting people, but I mean, things like I did my Sunday morning swim with the group. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember now. And I wasn't in a really good place with my anxiety at all. And I went into the water and I was just thinking, oh my God, get me out of here. And I felt really overwhelmed by the amount of people, just the whole experience really. So I got out before everybody else, because I thought, oh my God, what about if everybody wants to go for a drink after, and I've got to be sociable, and I don't feel I can even talk to anybody. So I chose to get out at that point before everybody else, and I just grabbed my kit. I didn't even dry myself, and I just walked, and before anybody else got out, and that was fine, because everybody in the group that I swim with, it is a not-for-profit organisation for mental health, and everybody there is probably carrying something, and we're all very supportive of one another and give others what they need, and if you need space, you get space. So I didn't feel as bad as if it was like a regular social event. Anyway, it ended up okay because where I disappeared to, some of the group turned up and they were just so supportive. And then by the time I went home, I felt great again. And that showed me once again the power of community and true people. Because I tend to avoid groups quite a lot because you get all the different personalities and it can get a little bit strange and a bit cliquey. But anyway, I feel very comfortable with this group, and you can just do your own thing and go, or you can get involved if you want to. So that's really good. And I've digressed completely from what I was going to say. I wanted to talk more about my session actually. So for me, in 2021, when traumas surfaced for me in my acupuncture, that then took me on this whole new pathway of breath work, mindfulness, body mapping. It's very, very hard to put it into words, but the whole somatic thing, that to me is the future for trauma resolution. And probably most of us carry some sort of trauma around in our minds, even though we're not aware of it. Although is that actually right to say in our minds? Because my belief is that our body stores the memory. When an event happens to us that's traumatic, it's not the actual event itself, it's how our body responds to it, and that stays with us. And I know that for a fact because when memories surface with me of things that I've forgotten about that were traumatic or painful, my body physically reacts, and it can take me literally, it can take days, weeks, months to get over it, to get back to the level that I was before. And it's a really, really hard journey. It's certainly not for the faint-hearted, but I'm really up for it. Because after 30 years of trying to get help through counselling modalities, talking therapies, I felt a bit like a lost cause, to be quite honest. And now I'm making progress, very small progress, but it's at a pace that is kind to me. And I sit here and I look at this beach and I think a year ago, I couldn't even paddle in the water without crying in pain, seriously. And the bottoms of my feet were like somebody was slashing them with a knife. It was that painful. I couldn't walk on shingle because the shingle felt so sharp on the soles of my feet. My balance, I've still got balance issues going on, but my balance was just absolutely awful. I'd only have to go on a pebble and I'd be all over the place. So that then altered the way that I walked and the way that I carried myself, which then has a knock-on effect with your whole body of how it functions. And now here I am. If you look back over my videos, you'll see in June I went in the sea for the first time in about 15 years, and it all happened on the spur of the moment. And it was the best freaking way that could ever have happened to me. If somebody had have told me that I was going that night to do that, I probably wouldn't have gone. So that has now given me more strength and courage to carry on and to challenge myself a little bit more and a little bit more. So this brings me to yesterday. I got out of bed at 5:45 and by 6:40 I was in the sea with the group swimming. So it was a bit of a struggle getting in, as it always is with me. I'm normally always the one at the back. And I think people have got used to that now. And then once I was in, I was okay, and I did a bit of swimming, but when I got out, oh my God, the cold really hit me, and I sat in my car for over an hour, and I felt quite overwhelmed by it all. And the rest of the day I actually spent in bed. It totally floored me, and my legs were just spasming and tingly, and they were so painful, and I felt totally exhausted, mentally and physically. Now, I don't know the reason why, but when I get out of bed earlier than my body wants to, my muscles go into almost like a chronic fatigue response, and it is like I'm being how I could imagine it would feel to be electrocuted. It's like my body's been plugged into an electric socket and all my body's going bzzz, and it's really not pleasant. And I thought yesterday, no, I'm going to do this. So when I got out, I just thought, oh my God, I wish I'd bought my warmer dry robe, and I wish I'd bought a hot drink. So it was a valuable learning experience to me. So today I just thought, after my session with my therapist, I'm going to go in the sea, but now I've got here and I can't. So what else can I say about that? I don't know if I've repeated myself because my memory is so poor, but I just hope by sharing with you in the real way that I do, it will help those people who are struggling, because when you've got an invisible illness, I get so many messages over the last few years. I get messages from people and they say, wow, you're glowing, you look great, you look so healthy and everything. And I may be in the middle of a health crisis, and I just think, all these mental health hashtags, what are people learning from that? And I find that quite disappointing, I suppose. So seriously, we need to look beyond how somebody presents to you. And for me, as I go about my day, I'm a person who has big visions, I always have, and I try to look at the big global picture, and I want to change the world. And it took me down a path of running 2 charities for 18 years, which was a hell of a learning experience into the reality of that world. And now I'm in a very different place, and I think if I can make a difference to one person in one day, it's a real good job done. So as I go about my day, I'll smile at somebody, I'll say hello to somebody, I'll strike up a conversation. If somebody starts opening up and talking to me about something very personal and painful, I lend an ear and I listen. And hugs. We need more hugs in the world. So I'm waffling now, so I think I'm just going to shut up. But I just want to say to people, if you have a chronic illness or trauma, please don't give up. Stay focused and surround yourself with people who believe in you, because there will be many people who will say to you, this is it, you can't get well, we just now need to manage your symptoms. And I just want to say it doesn't need to be that way, truly. And I hope, with my hand on my heart, that one day I will put a YouTube video up saying, hey, I did it, folks, and you can do it too. And I'm going to share all my journey on the way, the good and the bad. And I do it out of love for everybody. So I hope that's helped somebody today. I'm going to head home now. Lots of love, everyone.